about a Genius bar in your stores? That seems to work in the Apple stores. Could we have a Genius bar in Walgreens?
We actually not only think that would work, we actually have a Genius bar. We've taken the pharmacist from behind a counter. They're now out front. We actually have a health concierge to help people navigate through the store to get services. We've arranged it so that you're really doing personalized one-on-one
Is direct-to-consumer advertising, we see a lot of that, is that a valid tool to sort of increase awareness among the population, or is that sort of getting in the way?
Yeah, so, I think marketers are a lot smarter than anyone in the healthcare industry in how they reach out to people. So that's the first thing I think I need to put out there. But I do think that we really need to focus on how communities communicate and how communities interact. Because frankly, it doesn't matter what's being done on television. If it doesn't have something that applies for me and my community to get an action from it, I'm not sure I'm going to do it. So it's great when I see, an ad that says, here is a new tool available. If I walk down to the corner store and it's not available there, that was just a great ad. What we really need to do is focus on what can we do where we are that impacts that community. And I'm a firm believer that communities influence health behavior, right? So if people in your community walk, you walk. If people in your community, eat mainly at healthy places, that's what you do. If your social network, if you will, do things a certain way, you follow that. And so a lot of what happens in your 5-minute interaction with your physician is really a small part of what healthcare is, and we've got to get it back to where people are locally.
When we were preparing for this talk, and you and I were chatting numerous times, which I enjoyed very much, you said something that I wrote down at the time and I was determined to ask you about here because I'd never heard anybody say it. You said that in times you've seen whole communities in denial, literally an entire community in denial. And you mentioned it a little bit on the stage where in Harlem, an African-American man has this expectation of life shorter than a Bangladeshi. Can you just elaborate what you mean by a whole community in denial?
Yeah. So one of the things that you see a lot, and there have been a lot of some really nice, I would say, social science studies done that show that if in your community you believe that it's okay that if you're going to a store, the majority of the people that you see need wheelchairs to go around that store, it actually becomes something that you adapt to. You don't go backwards and you try to say, okay, what's going on here? What are we doing that we should change? You actually accept it as your new standard, as your new norm, and then you go forward from there. In communities where it's actually not accepted, the behaviors that you see, and these are all the examples that I'm giving are United States because I'd love to see us, again, solve some of these here. In communities where you see someone actually says, we as a community, and where you have, it's community leaders, right? It's the churches in the community, it's the local stores, say, we're gonna make an effort to make sure that we provide blank. And it could be that we think that more water is needed for people to use than soda. You see those efforts happen. So communities make that decision and they adjust. And they adjust by feeding off of each other. There's not some higher level, some hierarchy of, the medical community said blank. It doesn't happen at that level. It happens at the community level.
Thanks, Cheryl. That's very valuable and good lesson.